They're losing game. little bit longer, so they don't want to come down to Bevo Boulevard and hang out there the entire day. But got a chance to do some things and walk around and see some different parts of the stadium that they hadn't been able to see as of yet. But the main story has been the spring game, and to me, and I'll go into my biggest takeaways. We're going to hear from Coach Sark here in just a second, but I'll give you some of my takeaways in the next segment, the Hard Knocks Life featured segment at 740. So we'll be able to go through that as well. But you sit there and you anticipate so much from this team. or middle of the pack. And I know we can pump ourselves up and get too excited about certain things. But you also want to make sure that you're looking at this in the mindset like everything else. There's a lot of excitement around this football team. A lot of conversation around this football team. And I'm really diving in to this conversation. And I'm going to talk about it here in just a second. But you start to sit there, and right now it says deep playoff run. 62.9% of you believe it's going to be a deep playoff run. 25% say they're going to compete for a big SEC title. And 11% of you say that Texas will be in the middle of the pack. All you got to do is go over to AM 1300 The Zone on Twitter and go ahead and cash your vote. So as we get into this, I wanted to give you my version of what I got a chance to see. The Texas football future is bright from top to bottom, and I'm talking about from Sark at the top to the very last player on the team. I believe Texas has built something that puts them in a great spot. The conversation will always be about the backup quarterback and what is going on with that. I understand. I hear it. And I'm getting an echo in my ear. And so you sit there and you listen to the conversation about about Hardge. And it's 19 of 25, 355 yards, 3 touchdowns, and that's good. And he did look great. The wide receivers look good. The running backs catching the ball out of the backfield looked good. The O-line is in a great place. The D-line and secondary definitely needs some depth. The energy around the spring game was ridiculous. And as I said, there was probably 40,000 people that were there in attendance. The conversation around me was about ups and downs of this team. Yes, at the very beginning of the game, 2 of 3 with a pick 6, Quinn Ewers. Some people were like, oh, here we go. This is what Quinn doesn't turn the ball over like that. That was just in a game, a scrimmage. Ethan Burke made a great play, and Alfred Collins with them good hands got a touchdown, pick 6. Good start to the game, excitement. Everybody was cool. Well, then when Arch Manning comes in and throws the ball deep on the first play and all this other stuff, everybody gets excited, and that's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. Ooh, that's my quarterback. Relax, people. Relax. As I said in the previous segment, you should be excited that the backup quarterback, who is always the most popular person on a campus, is always going to get the love. Add into the fact that his last name is Manning, even though some of y'all hate on that and think that's the only reason why he's getting so much love. Y'all are kind of ridiculous when you think about that. The running backs look good. The quarterback room was solid. And you continue to look at what Arch and Trey are able to do. And it's just one of those things that has been very represented. The quarterback room, Trey Owens, who has been getting a lot of love during the offseason from Coach Sark. His name has been mentioned along with Cole Lord. He went 14 of 21 for 228 and 3 touchdowns. You look at the wideouts. They all balled out. Jonte Cook showed a play on the sideline with some real strong hands to be able to make that play. He had 4 receptions for 63 yards. Ryan Wingo had 2 touchdowns, including a big play. Nyback, tight end, 4 receptions. Looked good. Was able to make some plays. DeAndre Moore, great job on the wide receiver. Big play early. First big bomb was to him. And then Isaiah Bond, 3 receptions, 93 yards, and a big play touchdown. So Texas in the wide receiver room and the quarterback room, as we talked about, they're in a very good space. They are in a very good space. But you also have to look around and you say, okay, what is going on with Texas? And Sark talking about his areas of concern. and they need to be addressed.
The depth on the defensive line is not where we need it to be, and so we're got. Hopefully, we can address that, and so that's a bit concerning. Finding, you know, when you throw a lot of touchdowns like that, it's okay. Who's playing how and what in the back end, and making sure that we solidify that. And naturally, when you break up teams and you got guys on both sides, but solidifying. The back end and who's playing where and getting that right combination of guys. And that's going to be helpful.
And that's important. But he was also asked, what about your spring accomplishments? What did you think happened this spring that you can look at and say was an accomplishment?
Well, I think we got better. In the simple fact of we had a lot of new faces on this team this spring. And we lost some really good players that are going on to the NFL, and we'll find out this upcoming weekend where they all go, and guys that were really impactful players for our program. And between a lot of these mid-year high school kids and the transfers that showed up in the program, we had to kind of recreate ourselves this spring. And I thought that the buy-in was there. I would say this, like our practices were really competitive, and they were hard, and they were tough, and they were physical. But yet they really were working with one another to try to get better. And to me, that sets us up for June. As you guys know, in June and July, we do a ton of culture work, and that's when we really start on that stuff. But man, I feel like we've almost got a head start on that because of the way they competed in spring.
And that's important. The culture is there. The way that they went out and worked this entire time is there. And that to me has been the difference from 5-7 to 8-5 to 12-2 and to the new adventure of being in the SEC. It's important to find out, man. And Texas is laying down the groundwork to believe that they're going to have success. The one thing that he continues to talk about is you got to get depth on the defensive line, and you got to find the right combinations in the back end, because everybody leaving the stadium on Saturday was talking about all the big plays on the fun side. But even the misses was like, hey, man, what are we going to do about our secondary? It's all fun, but hey, guys, we got to clean up that back end. When we come back, we'll continue the conversations about Texas baseball. They win another series. And oh, yeah, LBJ might have found his mojo. We'll talk about it right here on the Hardge Knocks Life on Sports Radio, AM 1300, The Zone. The Texas baseball team with to be right behind Oklahoma, and they got a big series coming up this weekend against Oklahoma as they travel to Norman. But you sit it and look at it right now. Oklahoma is at 14-4. Oklahoma State, West Virginia, and Texas are all sitting at 11-7, followed by Texas Tech at 12-9. K-State, Kansas, Cincinnati, and Baylor are all 9-9. That's a good turnaround for the Baylor Bears, a team that has struggled. BYU and Houston are at the bottom of the conference at 6-15, and TCU and UCF each have 8 wins. It's a big weekend, exciting weekend for this Texas baseball team as they just find a way to win. The disturbing trend, though, when you start to look at this team is they always seem to lose game 1 of the series. I know it's not good to be in that position because then it puts pressure, but it seems like this team loves to play with pressure. Texas continues a game tomorrow night against UT Arlington right here at Dish Falk. I'll be on the call with my man Craig Way. As always, we'll also hear some sound of Craig Way this week as he was calling he was here all weekend. He didn't run. He got a golf cart drive from the stadium on Saturday back over to UFCU because the game got moved up to a 4:00 pitch on Saturday, and they avoided majority of that weather. When we come back, hour number 2, we'll give a shout out to Texas women's golf, men and women's tennis, and softball is still number 1. Don't go anywhere. Hour number 2 of the Hardge Knocks Life rolls on. Good morning, Austin, Pflugerville, K-Town, H-Town, D-Town, or wherever you may be listening. This is hour number 2 of the Hardge Knocks Life right here on Sports Radio AM 1300, The Zone. We talked a lot about the spring game, and we'll talk a little bit more about it in segment number 2 coming up at 8:17 as we continue to break down what we saw and what the expectations are for the University of Texas football team. We also will break down the NBA playoffs in that segment number 3 as the Mavs got popped by the Clippers. That's right. That's a lot going on in the NBA. We'll continue those conversations. And Texas baseball wins another series, and this time against TCU, as they have now made their way in a 3-way tie for second place in the Big 12 Conference. I know a lot of people still can't believe it, but I told you the silver lining is even with those tough losses, Texas is right where they want to be when it comes down to Big 12 play, as they have a big series in Norman, Oklahoma against the top team in the conference, the Oklahoma Sooners. But I also wanted to give a special shout out to a lot of teams on the 40 acres that are doing some amazing things. The Texas men's number 5 ranked Texas men tennis team has just won the Big 12 championship this past weekend as they continue to roll. The number 1 ranked, that's right, the number 1 ranked softball team, the Texas Longhorns team, wins their 9th straight game as they swept Kansas this past weekend. We also wanted to give a shout out to women's golf, number 11th ranked women's golf team, as they just won the Big 12 championship as well. And of course, you want to look at what is going on with the women's tennis team as they won the Big 12 conference as well. So a lot of great things are happening on the 40 acres as we continue to look at this team and what is happening. You start to say, all right, is this team, the university, putting themselves in the right position? I don't know. I don't know. Well, actually, the women ended up losing to Oklahoma State in the Big 12 final. So sorry about that. But they continue. They finished second in the Big 12. So they continue to make their way, and now they get ready for the tournament and see what they are able to do. They were number 7 ranked women's tennis team. But you sit and you look at what's going on the 40 acres. And I got a chance to talk to Chris Del Conte on Bevo Boulevard. It was real brief, but you can see the excitement that he had in his face. And the same thing with Drew Martin. The expectations at the University of Texas are at an all-time high, and rightfully so. This is the type of moment and area in time that if you were around here in the 2000s, you totally understood what it's like right now. And for those younger people that haven't had that opportunity to see the success of a basketball team, football team, baseball team, or all the teams that are involved, women's basketball, you start looking at golf, tennis, and now softball, you start to say, and track and field has been doing it for quite some time. You start to look at this university and what CDC has been able to put together, from the staffs to the growth around the university. You start to see some really cool things that are about to emerge here with the move to the SEC. And then you also get a chance to see Eddie Reese. They had a celebration for Eddie Reese, who has now retired and decided to move on. CDC calls him Yoda because he is the one that everybody goes to because all he does is win championships. And he tried to walk away one time, and it's not Sark, but CDC got him back. But this time it's official. So Eddie Reese has now walked away from the University of Texas. He's not going anywhere. He's still going to be around, but you start to think about what that man was able to do at this university and how he's created a legacy that is well known. And from the Olympics and all of his coachings to swimming and diving to the championships, the Big 12 championships, the national championships, the Southwest Conference championships, everything that has gone within this university, it is amazing to think of where everything is headed now. Things have changed a lot. Times have changed a lot. There's so much that you can look back to, but most importantly, you're trying to look forward. So the moves that are being made, the accomplishments that are being achieved, the enrollment at the university has skyrocketed. It has always been a high number. But when you put together a good football team, and it's just not me saying this, you can go and look at the numbers. This is one of those analytical things that actually is true, and I believe in it. When you have a successful program, and most of the time, if you're at a university like Texas, where football continues to rise, and that's what everybody wants to go to the school for. Oh, how's our football team? Football team is pretty doggone good. Football team is pretty doggone good. So you sit there and you say, okay, my enrollment is getting better and better every single year. And that is why you have to look at the University of Texas and believe that this is one of the moments that you'll believe in for quite some time. So to me, Texas is setting themselves up for a great, great move to the SEC. You should be excited about it. I know that I'm excited about it, but you should be excited about it because of the fact that this team, this university, is built on solid ground. And it's from top to bottom, as I talked about with the football team. You look at what CDC and his staff has been able to create, a culture that people want to be a part of. and I'm talking about outside on the Bevo Boulevard, Longhorn city limits. A lot of people have tried. We were talking to Cam and giving him a hard time. Cam Parker, you can hear him with Craig Way from 2 to 5 every day right here on AM 1300 The Zone. But we were talking to Cam about Reckless Kelly. You know, people met Reckless Kelly a long time ago when they were doing cheap shows. Now they're big time. They're all over the place. And for them to be able to pull that group in, don't forget they've had Nelly working up there. They've had different acts be able to come to the University of Texas and perform at Longhorn city limits. That's what it's all about. That's the atmosphere that you want to be a part of. That's the creativity of making the energy around the stadium, stuff that ESPN and the SEC network and everybody else is going to want to be a part of, because there's going to be huge games that will now be played at the University of Texas. Not saying some of the other games weren't going to be big, but now you're looking at your schedule, and you season ticket holders are really holding on to those tickets now, where before you were giving them up. So good things are happening on the 40 acres, and you need to all be excited about it. When we come back, we're going to continue the conversation about this Texas football game, or scrimmage, or orange and white game scrimmage. We're going to continue the conversations because Coach Sark did say he had some areas of concern, but he also has some pleased areas as well. Don't go anywhere. We'll continue the conversation right here on the Hard Knocks Life on Sports Radio, AM 1300, The Zone.
With most insurance.
2 to 5 Monday through Friday on AM 1300 The Zone. We keep it coming and having a lot of fun, my people. So we wanted to sit here and talk a little bit about this matchup. The game itself. We had an opportunity to watch this game this past weekend, and you start to look at how does this team play? Where are those points of emphasis for Coach Sark? And one of the biggest things that Coach Sark talked about was this team cannot play with mediocrity. This is not something that he can sit here and accept. And I thought when Sark first got here, it was all gas, no brakes. Then you got to the point of all of the information that was coming out. You're trying to build culture. You got the T-shirts and everything that's going out there. Then this offseason, he started with obsessed. And now he's talking about mediocrity and how it will not be accepted here.
But that all takes hard work, and that's when you got to lean into one another to continue to work, to continue to hold people accountable, to be great. Mediocrity is not an option in this program. We're trying to be great, and you have to work like that every day. And so I think spring set us up for that, because that's the way they approached the 14 practices and really the spring game today.
And that's important. And I love the fact that, look, he's been so open and honest with his expectations of this team. He's been so open and honest with the way that he's looking at making things right. And I can appreciate that because, again, all gas, no brakes, culture, obsessed, and you cannot be mediocre to be in this program. And you've seen some guys get in the transfer portal, maybe not because he considered them mediocre. It was more about, okay, these guys are being recruited. There's some guys that are coming in that are being recruited over me. These guys are getting more of a run. Let me go somewhere where I can feel comfortable. And there's no hard feelings for guys that leave the program. There's offensive lineman Peyton Kirkland that just committed to Deion. Deion's been waiting for linemen like this. He's looking for that. And when you start looking at these players that are coming to your program, University of Texas, you start looking at the list of which they were being recruited or the team in which they came from. And I know a lot of people are looking at Trey Moore, and he's been part of the conversation. He was just down the road at UTSA. But then you look at all the other guys that have come in from Alabama, Clemson. These are winning programs that are going to provide an extra boost to your program. And these aren't guys that were just on the squad. These were impactful players that you're bringing in to fill voids. And one of the areas of concern, and everybody's been talking about, is the pressure off of the edge rushers. Well, Sark talked about the edge rushers, and contrary to popular belief, they've actually been doing really, really well this spring.
The depth on the defensive line is not where we need it to be. And so hopefully we can address that. And so that's a bit concerning. Finding, when you throw a lot of touchdowns like that, it's okay. Who's playing how and what in the back end, and making sure that we solidify that. And naturally, when you break up teams and you got guys on both sides, but solidifying the back end and who's playing where, and getting that right combination of guys, and that's going to be helpful.
And then I want you to hear what he was talking about, the edge rush, where he's able to get to the quarterback. As he said, you looked at what was happening during that time, and you start to look and you say, oh, well, they're throwing a lot of touchdowns. They're throwing all this. Don't worry about that, because their edge rush has been good.
A spring that maybe didn't show up quite as much in the spring game, but our edge pass rush is real. Trey Moore is a real pass rusher. Colin Simmons can affect the quarterback. We know about Ethan Burke and Barron Sorrell. Colton Vosick, the second half of spring, has really stepped up his game. Zena is another impactful player. So, we've really tried to address that position, and I think it's paying off for us and will pay off for us in the fall.
I think so too. And I think when you start to look at the players that are involved, he just went through the list. And then you bring in a Trey Moore from UTSA, somebody who has skins on the wall, somebody that worked his butt off to be at that level. You start to really understand what it's all about. But then you have the moment now. Now he will start having exit interviews. He will start telling guys what is going on. And one thing that we didn't understand, or you may not have understood, or some that are not in the know, you start looking at the break. Now, again, let's go back. All gas, no brakes. Working on the culture. Finding out who my true leaders are in these moments. You can't be mediocre to play at the University of Texas. They are changing the way the program is being developed. But one of the things that we don't ever take into account, what's going to happen now? Now that you're getting ready to go on this break after these exit interviews, the month of May, you got to finish your schoolwork. You got to get everything done. But now these kids get a break from the everyday work at football. And Coach Sark talked about how important this is for them and for the coaches.
Well, the month of May is my longest month of the year. I'll tell you that. And I think every football coach around the country would probably tell you the same thing. Just because of the simple fact of I get to be around our players every day, right? From January through April, and then from June through December, right? And that month of May, they need that time. There's no question that players need that time. But I say it all the time. I have 120 sons between 18 to 22 years old. So if you think of it from a parent's perspective, you like to see your kids, right? And you like to be around them. And when they're not around you for an extended period of time, you start getting a little bit uneasy. That's why I try to keep checking in with the guys throughout the month of May, but they need this time and they'll do great. It always comes down to, we say it all the time, is life's about choices and decisions. And hopefully that the culture we have fosters, good choices.
And that's what it's about, making good choices during this time. Yes. And just like kids, when the parents are away, they think they can extend themselves a little bit more and have a little bit more fun and not have to worry about all the other nonsense that goes with it, and not having to clean up their room all the time and making sure all this happens. But you also have to position yourself to, what is our big goal? What is our big plans? What is the big picture in the room? In Texas, throughout the years, we're led by their quarterbacks. You can go all the way back to Vince Young, followed by Colt McCoy. You can go to Sam Ehlinger. You can look at Shane Buechele. The quarterbacks are always trying to get the team together. They're the bona fide leaders, whether they want to be it or not. The biggest story about Hudson Card for some time was the fact that he was real quiet and reserved. He wasn't a vocal leader. Same thing can be said for Quinn Ewers. He wasn't that guy that was going to get up in your face and do all that. But we did see a transformation in Quinn Ewers in the years past. You saw him in the Alamo Bowl game where things didn't go well, and he was pissed off on the sideline, and he was letting the team know, let's get this thing right. Then you look at what happened last year. Certain moments, he was the vocal leader. He was the guy that the team was leaning on. Now it's him, 3-year starter. You got to get everybody together. You got to get everybody on the duties of rallying to make sure that you're putting the work in. That's important. This is the time now that later in the season, you're going to have those moments where you start to bring, look, here's the biggest deal. This is a different type of athlete now. They're getting paid. Their focus at this particular point is about what can we do as a group. You got different guys going different directions a lot of times. And as we've talked about, I've been on teams where when we're in the locker room, we're rah, rah, rah. But when we leave, not talking to that dude. We don't have the same vision. But when you do have the same vision in sports, y'all come together to make it happen. And getting that close last year, getting that taste of what it's like to be in the college football playoff. A play here, a play there. Texas is playing Michigan for the national championship. By the way, the Michigan game against Texas this year has been announced. It's an 11 a.m. kickoff at the Big House, 11 a.m. That's right, folks. Fox has the game, 11 at big noon kickoff. Oh, yeah, we knew that was going to happen, but it's official now. It was announced just right before the game on Saturday. But you sit there and you look at this team and you say, can you lead that way? And I believe that Texas will be able to compete. And not only do I believe it, a Texas Longhorn legend, Colt McCoy, believes it as well.
I think our team is in a position right now to really have a chance to be successful moving to the SEC. I know the SEC is tough week to week, week in and out. Obviously, you hear about that all the time. But I think that their culture and what Coach Sark and that staff has done is just kind of block out the noise and know that, hey, we play at UT. I memean, there's pressure every week, in the state, in the conference, right? They figured out a way to win the Big 12 on the way out. And, I think the momentum is there for us to make this move. And I think everyone's generally pretty excited about it.
That's the word I've been using the entire time. Excited, excitement. Anything that has to do with excite, this is where this team has been. It's been a fun offseason. There's a lot of changes that have been happening. Some guys leaving in the transfer portal, some guys coming back from the transfer portal. It's all to the good. And I continue to believe that what Sark, where he said this multiple times, he really enjoys his team. He believes in his team, and his team is starting to look and walk and talk like he envisioned it. That is a pretty doggone cool situation to be in when you start to think about where this team was, again, 5-7 just 3 years ago, to last year, 12-2. And now he's coming back with a 3-year starting quarterback. And oh yeah, that backup quarterback, he's not so bad himself, because America has been put on notice when you start to look at what's going on these 40 acres. I understand it's about to get rough. I understand that it's all hype until you get on the field, and I'm cool with that. But understand, Coach Sark and this UT program is headed in the right direction. Coming up next, I'm going to talk a little basketball, but I'm definitely going to talk Dallas Cowboys. It is draft week, and our man, Dak Prescott, got a chance to talk. Don't go anywhere. You definitely want to hear this on the Hardge Knocks Life on Sports Radio, AM 1300, The Zone. myself and Craig Way, the voice of the Longhorns, from 2 to 6:50 this Thursday at Twin Peaks in Round Rock. That's right, 35 and 45 is where you will be, and that's where Craig and I will be for our pre-draft show as we break down the NFL draft up until the first pick is made. We'll have special guests like lifetime Longhorn Michael Griffin, Fozzie Whitaker, Will Matthews. We'll also have the number 1 overall draft pick in the 1982 NFL draft, one Kenny Sims. That's right, the pride of Kasi, Texas, and college football Hall of Famer Kenneth Sims will be joining us, as well as a host of others. We might even have Quan Cosby swing by and talk to us about the NFL draft. You don't want to miss it, so make sure you make your plans now to come to Twin Peaks in Round Rock from 2 to 6:50 this Thursday as we do the Zone pre-draft watch party. So here's the deal. Since we're talking about the draft and everybody that's involved in it, you start to look and see, hey, we got Texas Longhorns that are about to be a part of this draft. 11 men think that they are going to be drafted at some point over the weekend, and we definitely hope so. There's a cast of characters that we are hoping will get that call from a NFL team, and a lot of it has to do with Byron Murphy being the first one off the board. Everybody believes that he is going to be the first Longhorn taken off the board. That may be true. That may be true. But there are a host of others that think that their name will be called. Michael Griffin believes there's going to be 2. Fozzie Whitaker believes there's going to be 3. I'm more in the 3 in the first round. I'm hopeful that it's going to be Byron Murphy. I believe that A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy will find a way to get themselves taken in the first round. A.D. Mitchell running a 4.3. Xavier Worthy running a 4.21. Speed on top of speed. And the fact that both of those guys are some types of big play wide receivers. And X-Man has added punt return into his game, and he is electric when you start to look at what he was able to do. So it's an exciting time for these Texas Longhorns with those opportunities. Jonathan Brooks, I think, would have been a first-round pick if he didn't have that knee injury where he had knee surgery, but you never know. But speaking of the NFL draft, the Dallas Cowboys are a team that everybody's been talking about. The Dallas Cowboys are a team that you believe that they have their quarterback in Dak Prescott. But the Cowboys are leading us to believe that Dak Prescott may not be the quarterback. And Dak Prescott was asked this weekend about the possibility of not being the Dallas Cowboys quarterback and, of course, being the highest paid quarterback in NFL history.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to be the highest paid necessarily. So I'll wait till negotiations begin, and obviously want to put this team in the best situation. So,
have your feelings changed at all about your desire to be wanting to be in Dallas past 2025?
No, I'm focused on here right now, where I am. That's always how I've been. Anytime you've asked me, it's always been about right now, getting better tomorrow. And I've been in this situation before, so it's okay. I'm fine in any situation at that point, betting on myself or playing this year out and
seeing what happens, right? You sit there and you start to look at the Dallas Cowboys and the scenario. So for everyone that is looking out there and saying the Cowboys should draft a quarterback, I agree. The Cowboys should draft a quarterback. The Cowboys should have been drafting quarterbacks the entire time. They're the ones that refuse to do so, and they're always looking for that steal. Know somebody that knows somebody. That's how we got Tony Romo. By the way, Tony Romo's birthday was yesterday. But that's how we got Tony Romo. So you sit there and you're like, oh, well, look what they found. That's how you got Dak. Dak was a 4th-round pick. Well, afterthought. Wasn't even really going. He was a developmental quarterback that ended up leading your franchise and becoming the face of your franchise. But yet and still, you want to play hardball and not pay the quarterback. When you have your franchise quarterback, why are we getting to this point? You think it's that easy to go out there and get that? You think because the San Francisco 49ers drafted Trey Lance and gave up all that draft capital to go and get a guy that they ended up trading to you is going to be the answer? Maybe. But Dak Prescott has always represented your organization. As crazy and deranged as your organization has been throughout the years, he's represented you at the highest. Yeah, there's been a little scandal that was out here where he was alleged of doing something. They dropped the case. His accuser dropped the case. You can say she got some hush money. You can say that she's going to try it somewhere else. That's cool. But there wasn't substantial evidence for them to keep the case in that area. Nor did I think that this young lady wanted to be dragged through the mud, because you know that's what happens during this time. Even if it's wrong, they try to find out bad things about you in court cases, period. And they want to bring it to the light. That's just the way the world works. But Dak was asked about staying in Dallas and what that would look like. But his tune and his tone is totally different than that guy that was standing on that hill for the Cowboys for so long and defending and being the face of it. Now he's in a position to where it's like, yo, man, y'all better get this thing right now.
To Jerry and say that ease my fears that my future is here. Your fears? Your fears.
I don't have any fears.
So you believe you'll be here forever playing based on your conversations with Jerry?
I'm not gonna say I fear being here or not. I don't fear either situation. To be candid with you, I love this game and love to play and love to better myself as a player and my teammates around me. Right now, it's with the Dallas Cowboys. It's where I want to be, and that's where I am, and that's the focus. And after the season, we'll see where we're at, and if the future holds that, and if not, we'll go from there.
And I know a lot of you are probably sitting there like, leave. Careful what you ask for, folks. Careful what you ask for. And I'm not going to sit here and always defend Dak Prescott. But I was watching the Cowboys when we had Drew Henson, Chad Hutchison, guys that were just part of the program. You don't want that. You saw what happened when we had to go get Matt Castle. Things weren't good, man. So, Cowboy fans, yeah, draft a quarterback. Absolutely. But he's not coming in to start. And if you're willing to put everything on Trey Lance, yeah, I'll become a Texans fan before that happens. I said it and I meant it. We got one more segment before we end the show and send you off to Dan Patrick. We're going to talk a little bit about the NBA. I told you we were going to mention it. The Dallas Mavericks got thumped on the forehead by the Clippers, and we'll see what happens next. Don't go anywhere. Hardge Knocks Life. One more segment left right here on Sports Radio, AM 1300, The Zone. life, and you'll be caught up on every single one of them. You don't want to miss any of it. We had a lot of conversation about the Texas spring game as Coach Sark likes his football team. Arch Manning getting a lot of the headlines, but let's not get it twisted, folks. Quinn Ewers is your starting quarterback. I know it's easy to start a quarterback controversy. It's not happening, folks. We got a 3-year starting quarterback at the University of Texas. He is all about the action, and knowing that you have that kind of backup is very, very crucial. Also want to bring this up. Tonight, there's more NBA basketball, but yesterday the Mavs got handled by the Clippers 109-97. The Clippers played without Kawhi Leonard, which was going to be a question mark anyway. And you know what time it is. He always seems to get hurt. But James Harden and Russell Westbrook, also with Zubac, played unbelievable basketball. Zubac had a double-double. Russell Westbrook came off the bench with 13 points, 4 rebounds in just 23 minutes. And James Harden did his thing as always. So the Mavs are up against it. They play game 2 on Tuesday night at 9:30 on TNT. As we talked about, Philadelphia and the New York Knicks, they will play game 2 tonight at 6:30. Philly's up against it. They were down. They lost 111-104. Jalen Brunson was held in check, but Josh Hart played an unbelievable basketball game with 22 points and hit a bunch of three-pointers. Joel Embiid played, got a highlight dunk, but came down on his knee wrong, scared him, but he ended up coming back, and they said he will continue to play. So that game 2 will be tonight at 6:30 on TNT. As I said, the Cleveland Cavs and the Orlando Magic, they will play tonight at 6 on NBA TV. And the Denver Nuggets and the Lakers will play again tonight, 9 p.m. TNT. Now, Khalil and I were talking about this earlier. These NBA basketball games, I want to be a part of it. I want to be all about it. But Lord have mercy, these late games, they put a strain on your brother when he come in here and get ready to do his show. I'm going to be prepped. I'm going to be ready to go. But I'm watching the majority of these games, but it's just like, man, that is busy. And I can't wait to see what happens next. As we talked about, the Pelicans last night defeated the Thunder defeated the Pelicans. Pelicans are playing without Zion Williamson, but Chet Holmgren and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is a finalist for the MVP award in the number 1 seed OKC Thunder. They won by 2, 94-92. CJ McCollum had a shot to try to win the game, but they ended up coming up short. Chet Holmgren played a great game, almost Shaq-esque, where he had 15 points, 11 boards, and 5 blocks. Big rookie. He's not really a rookie to me, but he is a rookie in the NBA circles. So a big game for them as well. So there's some games tonight. There's games tomorrow. And, of course, there will be some games on all week long. I want to thank my man Khalil for doing a good job. I want to make sure that I thank you, the people, for tuning in and spreading the word. A lot of people came up to me at the football game. Great to see everybody. Had a great time. And same time tomorrow, 7 to 9 a.m., right here on Sports Radio, AM 1300, The Zone. And just remember this, don't believe everything you see, because even salt looks like sugar. Peace.